All right, here we go. Hello, Jessica. I see that you have joined. You're welcome to stay and you're welcome to ask questions as I go through the orientation as well. You can either turn on your mic or get me in the chat box here. Okay, so let's begin here. Here's the course right here. This is the place that you want to contact me, Pronto Instant Messenger. You can put this application on your phone as well, and it's highly suggested for you to do so. You're free to message me here, although I don't get the messages in real time. So it's only when I'm in front of the computer that I would see that you message me here. So the most efficient way to get a message to me is, again, through Pronto. Calling me, you're welcome to call me, but we probably will play phone tag for a while if you do so. So if we do need to have a phone conversation, by all means, let's have a phone conversation throughout the semester, but initiate that request through Pronto. That way we're not trying to figure out how to connect with each other. Going to start here real quick. Let's open up the syllabus. Just a couple of things here I want to point out is basically here are the assignments for the course, chapter quizzes. So every week there'll be a quiz. Every week there'll be a discussion post. Might be a few exceptions here and there, but generally speaking, expect a quiz and a discussion post each week. And then every few weeks, there'll be a unit exam to go through as well. There is a schedule for the entire semester. I'll put that in the, I'll post this in I think it is already posted in Blackboard, but I'll post it here for those that are joining that would like a copy of it. Here we go. So that is the schedule for the semester, which is also aligned within Blackboard. So make sure you're aware of that. But basically, the chapter quizzes will be multiple choice questions, sometimes multiple responses, meaning there'll be more than one response that is correct, and it'll indicate that within the question, true or false, or fill in the blank. But generally speaking, it'll be multiple choice, the quizzes. 2 attempts are possible. There'll be 5 questions on the quizzes. Generally speaking, there might be some exceptions to that, but generally speaking, it'll be 5 questions. You will have 5 minutes to complete it. The highest grade will be recorded of the 2. No late submissions for any reason will be accepted, so be aware of the due date. With that said, there are ways of making up points in this course, but one of them has to do with the after-hour study sessions, and I'll talk about that in just a little bit. The discussion posts. Sorry for the typo here. I'm going to see if I can still edit that, but I have no idea what that's trying to spell, but it's supposed to be spelling discussion posts. Respond to the assigned prompt within the chapter folder. All right, so let's bring that up actually. You can toggle back between the syllabus. So let's go to Unit 1 and begin with chapter 15, and then I'll come back to that, right? So I was referring to the chapter quiz. This is where you'll go to the chapter quiz right here, beginning at chapter 15. Once you're done, to access the material for chapter 15, just simply go right here. And what you're going to find here is you're going to find the chapter right there. You'll click there and the link should open up, as well as the lecture. I'll talk about the lecture in just a little bit. And then down here is the study guide, which is also available within the chapter. Let me go ahead and open up the chapter. And then when you're ready to do the discussion post is located right here as well. You'll click here. Did I freeze it? Probably clicking things too quickly here. Okay. And so you notice that there is a discussion prompt. Make sure you're aware of what the prompt is before beginning the assignment so you can properly prepare. It is due, as it indicates here, and in the schedule January 30th. The quiz for chapter 15 is due January 29th. Okay, so how do you want to prepare for this course? Because ultimately each unit is going to conclude with a unit exam. So how do you prepare for the unit exams? Each chapter works the same. You can open up this real quick, right? There's assigned content here. Within that link is the chapter, a lecture, along with the study guide. There's a quiz and a discussion post associated with it. So ultimately, this unit will conclude with a unit exam that is open now. Everything that I'm showing here is open now to complete. The quizzes, the discussion posts, as well as the unit exam. When you are ready to take it, and you're able to take it now. Once you are prepared, up until February 4th or through February 4th, right, at 11:59. All due dates expire at 11:59 p.m. So how to prepare for the unit exam? Well, let's start with chapter 15. Again, going back to chapter 15's text, opening up the link here, you're going to click Reconstruction. This link will open up right here. And what you'll notice is basically you'll have some text along with graphics, some videos. I do recommend watching the video, but before you, and as well as reading it, but before you even get started, first go to the study guide. All right, if you go to the study guide, what you are going to find there that you should be paying attention to is the study guide questions. This is part of the unit exam test bank, these questions. So what I highly suggest doing is getting a notebook dedicated to this course and physically writing those questions down, handwriting those questions down. You want to do that for two reasons. One, the unit exams, you are allowed to use as many handwritten notes as you produce. You cannot use typed notes. You can't use books. You can't use other electronic equipment, but you can use handwritten notes. So if you take the time to handwrite the questions, and this might take maybe 5 minutes. I don't even think it'll take that. But if you take the time to write these questions down, put some space in between, and then begin to go through the chapter, one, that is going to, organize your notes in an effective way so you're not scrambling during the exam to find the answer. And two, it is going to trigger your mind to begin to become aware of things even before you begin reading it. So if you take the time to, for instance, if you take the time to write this down, you'll already know before you begin reading that you are looking for questions dealing with Reconstruction and how it affected the nation, right? You will also know that you should be looking for what course did presidential Reconstruction take. So you'll know about that term and that there is some course that it took, right, during the period of Reconstruction. In what way did Reconstruction recreate slavery by another name, right? So as you're going through the material, you will come in contact with probably a way of responding to that. And as you do, write down notes in relation to that, right? And be specific as possible. So if there's something about presidential Reconstruction that is offering you dates like a year, 1863, 1865, an individual's name like Abraham Lincoln or Andrew Johnson, the two presidents during presidential Reconstruction, people who might have disagreed with presidential Reconstruction, like Congressman Thaddeus Stevens or Congressman Wade. You can write that down as you're going through the material, right? And then what I suggest doing is after that, maybe moving on to the lecture, which I'll talk about in a little bit, but use a preliminary time to begin preparing. And then once you're done going through and you've taken notes on each of these questions, don't worry if you're right or wrong or if you've got enough notes, but just take the hour or so to go through this and take notes accordingly. Then move on to something else, whether it's a lecture or whether it is a different course or whether it is something else you've got going on in your life. And then maybe the next day or a couple of days later, come back to it and then begin taking and read through the text again, go through the provided videos and retake some more notes with the intention of further developing the notes and perhaps developing some written responses that can help you suffice to the guidelines, right? Do make sure that you are using the guidelines, the guidelines that are found. I think let's bring that on up right here. I think it's in the syllabus. The writing guidelines right here. So the writing guidelines, I will post this in a couple more places in Blackboard, but print this out and take a second, take about 2-3 minutes to read through this. Basically what this is getting at, what these bullet points are getting at, is when you respond to something, to earn an 80% or higher, be specific as possible and specifically reference the assigned content in your responses. It's okay to be general in your responses, but you always want to follow up with something very specific in your responses, right? And this is a way of reminding you to do so, right? To provide so-called evidence of learning in your responses. Basically, the guidelines are 1 to 3 paragraphs. Sometimes it's 1 to 2 paragraphs. The discrepancy is it's just a guideline, right? And it's just a way of kind of reminding you that if you find yourself in any of the short answers that I just showed you, writing only a sentence or even a few words, kind of a heads up that you, at the very least, this should be a complete paragraph, if not 2 paragraphs, if not 3 paragraphs, depending on the question and depending on how much content is available in responding to the question. Okay, so the other thing that you need to be aware of, and we'll be able to conclude pretty quick after this, is the lecture. So each chapter usually comes with a lecture, not always, but count on each week that there will be a lecture. And how do you prepare for the lecture? You're basically preparing to write a 5 to 8 paragraph essay based on this particular essay prompt right here that is posted below the guidelines right there. So how do you prepare for that? All of the material to prepare for this particular essay prompt discuss the 2 constitutional theories that evolved around the question of Reconstruction. Within your discussion, identify and describe the 3 phases of Reconstruction. Describe congressional Reconstruction and how it was a reaction to presidential Reconstruction, to the weaknesses of presidential Reconstruction. And then finally, describe the Compromise of 1877 and its effect on reestablishing white supremacy. So to do so, what you're going to do is you're going to go through the lecture and how it is broken down into parts or components, which are referred to as learning objectives. So learning objective 1, if you notice, is dealing with the first part of the essay prompt, which is discussing the 2 constitutional theories that evolved around the question of Reconstruction. To respond to that, go through this video, go through the provided notes, and you should have a response that should elicit at least a paragraph, right? Learning objective 2, same thing, right? Here is basically the prompt. You're discussing presidential Reconstruction. There's the material, go through that, and that should give you at least a paragraph right there. Learning objective 3, same concept. Learning objective 4, same concept. Once you have a response to all 4 of these learning objectives, combine your responses to each of those learning objective prompts, and that is your essay response to this particular essay prompt, right? So what are you going to do with that? 1, write that down in your notebook, handwrite it so you have that ready to go. And ultimately, going back to Blackboard, during the exam, so let me go to Unit 1. Again, you have to open up this. I'm not in Lockdown Browser, so I'm not going to be able to open it. You're seeing it from the back end. But basically what is going to be on this is going to be 20 multiple choice questions directly from the quizzes. So chapter 15 and chapter 17, you can take those quizzes up to 2 times. And then from that on the exam, it is going to randomly select some of those questions. So some of those questions you might see, there might be other questions in the test bank that you didn't see during the quiz, but it's pretty likely that you'll see some of those questions. Right here, you're going to have 4 study guide questions, which is dealing with, here we go. which from chapter 15, also 17 has this as well, is dealing with these questions right here, these short answer questions that I was going through earlier. 4 is going to be selected from chapter 15 and or 17, randomly selected. So that's the test bank. And chapter 17 has a series of questions that's part of the test bank. So that's going to be selected there for you to respond to. And then also what you see right here is the last part of the unit exam. And as is indicated, choose one of the following lecture essay prompts to respond to. As indicated below, your essay should be 5 to 8 paragraphs. That consists of a response of each of the learning objectives. So choose one. Don't choose 2 because you probably will, there's a time limit on this, right? And so you don't want time to get in the way of responding thoroughly to one. If you respond to both, you're probably not going to have enough time to thoroughly respond to it and end up getting not as good as a grade if you respond thoroughly just to one, right? So aside from just following directions, you want to make sure that you're responding to one so it is as thorough as possible. So this is the one for chapter 15, right, dealing with Reconstruction. This prompt right here is dealing with chapter 17, the West. And just to show you where to find that, right, and you're going to respond to one of those again, right, within right here. So this is where you'll begin. You'll have a place where you'll type in your essay. So if you have it, one of those essays, handwritten response before, all you're doing is transcribing your notes from your notebook into the exam, right? Just to show you real quick, here's chapter 17, all right? Assigned content chapter, learning objectives and study guide. I'm opening up that link right there. Same thing, right, as chapter 15. Here's the chapter and there's the lecture right there. And so if you choose to prepare for the lecture for chapter 17, please do so. Again, just choose one to respond to for this unit. There might be one unit where you need to respond to more than one, but I'll let you know going forward. But for now, you're just responding to one for unit 1. Okay, I believe that's about it. Jessica and Maria, I see that you're here. So if you have any questions right now, do let me know. I'm going to briefly talk about the after-hour study sessions in a little bit, but I thought I would take an opportunity to see if you guys had any questions or just needed clarification on what has been discussed here. So get me in the chat box or open up your mic. Either way, don't worry about interrupting me. I'm going to go on to the after-hour study sessions. Each week, starting today, we are going to team up with another History 1302 instructor from Sherryland High School. His name is Mr. Peterzak. So we'll be joining his students and basically going over the assigned chapters. So today we're going to go over chapter 15. We'll also go over chapter 15 next week, but this is going to serve as a kind of an introduction on what we're doing. And we're going to particularly focus on, since Dr. King's holiday was just Monday, the campus was closed, we're going to use this opportunity to bring up Dr. King and his I Have a Dream speech and some general ideas about his activism during the civil rights movement and how he tried to connect for the nation the historical legacy of what happened during Reconstruction when 3 million people were freed as a result of the Civil War, and some of the attempts of trying to bring them into citizenship during the period of Reconstruction, and how that was successful to a limited scope, but ultimately and how it failed once Reconstruction ended, right? And so when he's delivering his I Have a Dream speech, what he is doing there is basically saying this business of Reconstruction is not done yet, right? So we'll discuss that tonight and then go over some of the study guide questions from chapter 15 for you guys to work on collectively. Please, if you're going to join that, please use a computer, not your phone. People who use phones aren't able to participate in the breakout sessions where you guys will work on some of the study guide questions collectively. But anyway, that's all I have today. So do let me know right now if you have any questions, Jessica, Maria. If not, I will talk with you guys later. And of course, you're always free to get a hold of me on Pronto if you have any questions as you're getting into the course, right? And I will try to get back to you as quickly as possible, right? With that said, too, if 24 hours ever goes by without me getting back to you, something went wrong, right? So don't feel like you're being rude or pushy if you need to send me another message saying, hey, I'm trying to figure out this, right? The other advice I would give beyond handwriting your notes in an online class, students that successfully complete the course with a grade that they can be really proud of, a habit that they start right from the beginning of the semester is to set a prescribed schedule as if they were going to class. So one of the great things about an online course is you don't have a set schedule that you have to adhere to. But one of the things that kind of challenge students about an online class is they don't have a set schedule that they can have to adhere to, right? So when you're in a face-to-face class, you have to go each day to class or twice a week to class. And there you're reminded about what things are due, and then you go through the material, right? Sometimes what happens in an online class that sometimes trips up students is that they procrastinate, right? And that's typical of just being a human being. It doesn't make you a bad person. It's just what we do. This is to mitigate that tendency, have a prescribed schedule. So whatever that is for you, whether that is Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, try to divide up the week into about 9 to 12 hours, 2, 3, maybe 4 times a week, and just work on history exclusively during that time period, right? Let people know in your household that that's what you're doing, and please don't disturb you at that time, because you are basically practicing as if you were going to the campus and taking the course in order to successfully complete the course, right? That's all I have for today's session. I think that covers most of what we need to get through. Anything else we can kind of cover as we get through this semester. But for now, begin chapter 15, and I'll talk with you later. Also, complete the orientation exam, and you guys will be in good standing. Talk with you guys later, and again, get a hold of me on Pronto if you have any questions. Take care. Goodbye. All right, make sure the recording's done.